And coming up next, we are very honored to have several celebrities on stage to share with us on the topic of Power Up, Do Good, Do Impact, from entertainment to philanthropy. As an artist, I really want to learn about how my work in the entertainment industry can create more social impact. And in this panel, we will have the following panelists. They are Dr. Joseph Rodrick Law, Chairman J Global Limited, CEO Chill Labs, co-founder and CEO JC Happiness Charity Foundation. This Randi Zuckerberg, founder and CEO HUG. Ms. Bowie, actress and TV host. Mr. Jonathan Wong, Multi-Hyphenate creator, co-founder and director Octagon Metatainment Limited. So now, I'll pass the floor to Joseph. Over to you now, Joseph.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Joseph Law. I'm extremely glad to be here today with the audience. I believe the purpose of entertainment is to uplift and empower audience. And today we'll be exploring Web3 and AI and how it can make the world a better place, as well as the entertainment industry. We have three wonderful panelists with us today. First of all, my good friend Bowie and Jonathan.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for being here. We also have with us Randi Zuckerberg with us today for a pre-recorded session. Bowie and Jonathan, I'm sure you guys need no introduction. However, for the sake of audience around the world, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Bowie. I am an actress, yes, and an end user of the Web3.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan Wong, entertainer, singer-songwriter, producer. But also recently, I've co-founded a mixed reality entertainment company, Octagon Metatainment. So we'll share a little bit more about why I believe in mixed reality versus all virtual or all real. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bowie. Thank you, Jonah. Looking forward to that. Let me introduce you to Miss Randi Zuckerberg. She's a great entrepreneur and has been in the front line of Web 2 as an early employee of Facebook. She was the creator of Facebook Live. Today, she is the founder and CEO of HUG, a marketplace in Web 3. I think let us begin by watching Randi's pre-recorded interview, shall we? Hi, Randi. Welcome to our panel discussion at Cyberport. Randi, you're a great entrepreneur and you're also a great investor. What's your story and what got you interested in Web3?
Well, first of all, it's really an honor and a delight to be here and to be speaking with you. And I'm very grateful to be part of this event virtually. For me, I got my start at a time when there were not a lot of women in technology. When I looked around Silicon Valley, I could really almost count on my fingers the number of women that were in leadership positions. Most venture capital firms did not have a single female partner. And for me, that's always been a real passion of mine, is making sure that for the next generation, that women have a seat at the table when we're talking about the future of technology and innovation and investment.
And nowadays, what do you think is the biggest opportunities or challenges really surrounding Web3?
Yes, well, I'm delighted to say that I think there's been a lot of progress made in women getting a seat at the table. Now today, if you look at most investment firms, there are a lot of women on the partnership teams there. There are so many women who are not only on leadership teams at companies, but they're building unicorn valuation companies themselves. But still, when it comes to these groundbreaking new areas like Web3, artificial intelligence, blockchain, you still see at the starting lines of these new industries that there's not a lot of diversity. And I think we have an opportunity with Web3 to rewrite the rules, to create the kind of internet that we want to see, that we want to be a part of, that's more inclusive. And so we're not going to do it if it's just the same group of people with no diversity. So that was a real passion of mine to get into Web3 and why I love educating women and people all over the world about it.
I saw many of your educational videos and it's very inspiring. and a big advocate for women in the NFT space. Tell us more about it, and how do you plan to uplift women in this area?
Yes. And first of all, I want to thank you for having this dialogue about this, because it can't just be women talking to ourselves. We have to have male allies. We have to have, be having this conversation on a broad scale. So thank you for raising these issues. I think, first of all, it can be scary and intimidating to step into a brand new industry. I've had the experience of being on the front lines of Web 2, so it doesn't feel so scary for me to now be on the front lines of Web 3 since I've had that experience. But for a lot of people, it can feel scary and risky to be on the cutting edge of something new. So I think even just having other women who are there as a support group, I think having projects and communities that are safe spaces that people can relate to. I think a lot of the talk in crypto tends to be very bro-y, and having safe spaces where people feel like they can ask their questions, they're not going to be judged, they can be beginners safely together is really important. And then finally, I think you have to make educational content fun. You have to make it entertaining.
Absolutely.
You have to bring it to people where they are, not expect that people already know everything about crypto and Web3. So I always try to make my videos and my content very approachable and very fun.
Well, I'm loving it, even as a man, so there you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
And tell us about HUG that you co-founded. How is it different to other marketplaces?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm missing today at this chat my co-founder, Debbie Soon, who's just an incredible person and a real thought leader in Web3. Debbie and I connected because we both had a passion for helping artists. And one thing we saw that Web3 really had the potential to help artists take control of their careers. I think when you look at Web 2, artists are so dependent on other people to give them their lucky breaks. They're dependent on a gallery, they're dependent on an agent, they're dependent on all these other people to get business for them. And suddenly we saw this Web 3 world where artists can start their own communities, launch their own projects, and really control their destiny, their income, their future. But a lot of artists don't know where to start. They feel intimidated by technology. So Debbie and I decided to start HUG as a welcoming place for artists to come to. If they're blockchain or crypto curious, they can learn about how to mint their art on the blockchain. They can learn about innovations in digital art, AI art, and we can help connect them with kind of their first passionate 1,000 fans that can then launch their career. So every day, Debbie and I wake up and we think about how we can help artists and how we can bring them into this new world of Web3.
Wow, that's wonderful. How many artists do you have on the platform at the moment?
Yes, we have close to 4,000 artists who we work very closely with at HUG. We also have a group of collectors and curators. And on HUG, artists can do a few things. They can they can have their kind of artist hub and profile so that you can tell collectors your full story. You can show them your process, you can show them your art and your collections, you can send targeted updates out to all of your collectors. But you can also submit your art to a lot of in real life opportunities we have. So we are constantly curating digital artists for art museums all over the world. We're constantly, we're curating right now for an opportunity in Japan, in Seattle. And a lot of artists, this is maybe their first time to get into a gallery or a museum.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, very validating. And it's made possible because of the community And that's what was so awesome about Web3. So I hope that any artists out there will come check out HUG because it's a very friendly and welcoming place for artists.
As a part of this discussion, we are passionate about making a social impact in the world. How do you think Web3 in general can make the world a better place?
Yes, well, I think when your wallet is out on display and it's public, everything that you buy is activism. It's a political statement. It is a social statement. So for me, for example, I really try to have at least 90% of the art, the NFTs, the digital collectibles that I get are created by women. That's something that's really important to me. If you go look at my public wallet addresses, you'll see that it's almost all art that's by women. And that's also something that we try to help people with at HUG. So if it's really important to you to collect art just from artists in Hong Kong, in your local city, or you want just artists who, have had an experience with cancer, or just artists who are talking about the environment with their art or having activism, we make that really easy on HUG to find artists. So whatever you're passionate about, whatever cause is speaking to your heart, we really believe that where you put your money and who you support is a form of social activism, and we try to empower people that way.
Wow. That's a very inspiring and a different way to look at it. Thank you so much for the insights. Randi, I know you support many startups. What has been your experience and journey investing in and supporting and working with startups?
Yes, I love it. I like to say that I'm a professional mother to entrepreneurs. I feel I'm a very amateur mother to my own children, but a professional mom to entrepreneurs. I think I've invested in, advised, sat on the board of more than 100 different startups.
Wow.
And so I really, I've seen it all. I've seen the good, the bad, the terrible, you name it, I've seen it. But there's something so wonderful about working hand in hand with someone who just has a vision to make the world better or to make people's lives better, and to be able to play a tiny part in that process of helping them bring it to life is truly beautiful and truly extraordinary. I tend to invest in areas that I personally understand well, so I invest a lot in family tech. And when it comes to technology that helps with children, with safety, for families, I invest a lot in sports tech. I love athletics, especially golf and fitness. So I invest in a lot of companies in that area. And then the arts. I do a lot of investing in technology that powers theater, ticketing, arts, you name it. So those tend to be kind of my big passion areas.
Wow, 100 companies, that's quite a number for an individual.
over many years, over 20 years or so, but still, it's been an exciting journey.
Wow, exciting. For most startup, right, who's not in Web3 already, how do you think they can take advantage and be ready for the rise of Web3, AI, or big data?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the first thing you just have to do is educate yourself enough that you can have a seat at the table, because people are going to, it's just going to increase the number of conversations around metaverse, AI, you name it. And so it's important to at least have enough understanding to be able to enter a room where people are having those conversations. And I host a podcast called Crypto Cafe, where I talk about everything blockchain. Thank you. There are so many other great podcasts out there also on a lot of these topics. So I suggest, as a first step, just educating yourself. But also, I think just like in the early days of Web 2, social media evolved so much. When I was starting out in Web 2, smartphones didn't even exist yet. And then a few years later, when they came out, it changed the game completely. What we started building at Facebook ended up so different because of apps and smartphones and mobile technology. The same is true with AI and Web3. How it looks today is not how it will look in the future when it has mass adoption. We might not even use the words NFT or metaverse ever again in the future as things evolve. So just because something is in the early phases, if it doesn't feel quite right yet, or a phrase is turning you off, don't let that stop you from embracing and learning about an entire industry, because I guarantee it will look completely different a few years from now, and you don't want to be left behind.
Absolutely. Going back to what you said about Web 2.0, right? Web 2. You were one of the creators of Facebook Live. When you created, how do you envision it? Like for the next 10 years, do you have the complete vision already where you're going, or are you just doing this step by step at a time?
No way. In fact, Facebook Live was almost a 7 or 8 year long journey to create. Wow. When we did the first ever Facebook Live broadcast, it was back in 2011, and there was not streaming bandwidth to be able to go live to your phone. We had satellite trucks. We had people wearing backpacks full of equipment in order to have that streaming bandwidth. Yeah. And so back in 2011, a product like Facebook Live wasn't ready for the masses because you just couldn't pick up your phone and go live. But 5 years later, you could. Just a few short years later, suddenly we were able to launch a Facebook Live button to 2 billion people around the world to instantly go live. And so, just because an idea isn't quite ready today doesn't mean it's not a good idea. And I think a lot of people dismiss things about blockchain and AI, metaverse, just because it's not quite there yet. It's not quite ready. But just like the iPhone changed everything, I guarantee that the rate of tech innovation, something will come along where everything clicks.
I agree. That's why most startup or even commercial company, they need to be ready.
Yes.
They're not already doing it, but first of all, as you said, get educated first so you can be in some of those conversations to get started.
Absolutely. In fact, the first Facebook Live broadcast I ever did, only my mom and dad watched, only 2 people. And I thought, oh gosh, this is a terrible idea. And then 4 months later, President Obama was using the technology. So also, sometimes things that look like a failure in the moment just need your love and attention and hard work.
Wow, that's very, very great and useful advice. Randi, thank you so much for your time today. It's very inspiring talking to you. It's a great pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You are an incredible interviewer, and I hope one day we are together in Hong Kong in person.
Wonderful. Looking forward to see you in person. Thank you, Randi. Randi is very inspiring, isn't she? Let's start with Bowie. Bowie, you're a real-life practitioner in the entertainment industry. As an actress and a TV host, she has close to 250,000 followers on Instagram. That's quite a number for Hong Kong, isn't it? Bowie, do you think AI or Web3 will affect the entertainment industry, and especially for you as an artist?
Surely. I think the Web3 and AI, it's inevitable, so we have to face it anyway. It's posing a lot of potential, but also threats to us, because in some way, I think there's suspicion that we will be replaced by AI. So I think this is very worth discussing. Yeah.
What about over to you, Jonathan? You're a talented singer-songwriter who's already doing a lot of projects on Web3. Tell us about it and what's your view on the what do you see coming?
Well, first of all, just like what Randi was saying, I think for all of us, this is a real learning process. And so we're all new to this. My company, Octagon Metatainment, is only 1 year old, and we're working on mixed reality stuff. So the first thing I would like to say is, Randi, if you can hear this, Terry, Cyberport, if you guys are looking for things to invest in, we're right here. But I would say for entertainment, I think the future of entertainment is mixed reality. We have things that are very much tech-enabled, things that can only happen in a virtual space, things can only happen in, let's say, the metaverse or with avatars or in a hologram. But I think there are also some things that are truly incredible, unpredictable, and move us in physical spaces. Real performances, real craftsmanship, the way sound even bounces in this hall. It's hard to replicate how something moves you in your body when you're putting on a headset and have some earphones on. I'm sure somebody's already working on it, but the future is mixed because, just like Randi said, we have to meet our audience where they are. I think one of the big things about Web3 and AI is it's a bit opaque right now for a lot of people. It's not very accessible. Some people feel like they need a lot of equipment, a lot of know-how, maybe even some crypto. They need they need guidance, they need a mentor, whatever. They need these like guardrails. But I think when we bring it to them in a form, in a venue that they understand, maybe like this, maybe like a concert hall, maybe like a gallery, but then it takes you through a window into something else, that's where we're all gonna go to Web3 together, yeah.
Wonderful, that's interesting insight. Another question to the both of you, but from a different angle. Bowie, how do you see Web3 and AI impacting the relationship between the artists and the fans?
I think it's how AI will be affecting people or relationship between different people. For fans and celebs or artists, I think it's how the artists may be performing in different ways. For example, like what Jonathan said, we can have virtual concerts, we can have virtual movies, like you just have to rent out avatars. And I think it overcomes a lot of human limitations in terms of geography and because we can be involved in different productions at the same time, so that can increase
earning multiples of your original wage.
Yes, that's a possibility. And we can have a lot of very personal interactions with fans as well, because it can be one-to-one online, and we can do it all at the same time as well. So I think there is a very large potential in how we can work on this.
This is wonderful. So you make more money, but you spend the same amount of time. What about for you, Jonathan? What do you think?
Well, I was wondering, for the technicians, is there any way to play the little clip that we prepared?
Yes. Jonathan's got a video that he wants to show the audience. Can we play that?
Cool. So that, in a way, encapsulates how I imagine some ways in which the Web3 space or kind of virtual entertainment can be combined and kind of enhance what we do, right? What we do as human beings, as people in real life. I can see you, you're there. But also take people on a journey, right? I think, Bowie, you know this, we come from a traditional kind of crafts of storytelling, acting, script writing, right? And then when we apply that through, let's say, hologram, let's say I put somebody through a live hologram broadcast. What does that mean? The essence of me is still there. It's a lot more realistic than, let's say, a Zoom thing. But at the same time, it's two-way. I can see someone who's here, I can see this camera, I can see these people, and then I can interact with them in a way that is both human but also scaled through technology. I think in the future, especially for creators, there's only going to be two types. There's the type that knows how to use AI, and there's the type that doesn't know how to use AI. I'm not saying that those who don't utilize AI will be kicked out. There's always going to be a place for traditional craftsmanship. But I think what it does is it allows us to create with more efficiency, with more scale, and to cross certain boundaries. One of the artists who you saw in the clip just now, Pat Lee, he's a famous comic book artist. He's drawn Batman, the X-Men, he's drawn Spider-Man, you know. But he's very much into AI generative art because there's still a craft in how you communicate with technology. His creativity is still his. It's just now he has more tools. So I also want to give a shout out to my friend Ross right here. He's actually the first person who introduced me to the idea of what is a Web3 community. Because, Bowie, we come from the era of the entertainment social media age where it's one to many. Our audience is invisible. I mean, you guys are visible right now, but 250K, you don't know all of them. I doubt you do.
No, I don't.
I mean, unless you have like a supercomputer in your head. There's no way for us to really have genuine connection under this system. It's very hard. We're broadcasting, right? And in a way, like a lot of their interaction, a lot of their feelings, a lot of the data is also not accessible to us. It's only accessible to the platform. We don't get it. There's no ledger like on Web3. But when we have a community of a finite number of people, we look at all the big NFT collections, sometimes a couple hundred, sometimes 10,000, maybe the biggest ones are like 10,000. That's still a manageable number. We are a community. We can communicate with them. So I think the way that affects artists in a way is it brings us closer to our audiences and also gives them a piece of our art. And we can maybe go into that a little bit later, yeah.
I also see from what Jonathan said, we should be expecting more individual producers instead, because we have to monitor our own productions and we have to access our own data, like how fans respond to our performance. And so we can respond and make changes in our productions. So I think it's more down to personals instead of companies or agencies in the future.
I agree. I think Jonathan brought up a very interesting topic about the mixed reality and the virtual human beings. You know, in Japan, as you know, there is a virtual fashion model called Emma. She's got 400,000 followers on IG.
Yeah.
Brands like IKEA, like Magnum, they use her for like modeling. How do you think virtual human beings like this would affect you as an artist?
We get more competition. Yes, more competition, but also it helps me, like it makes me doubt what values I have that I can compete over an AI.
Well, you're more real and more beautiful, that's for sure.
I think it's the complexity of human brains as well, and also the creativity part. I think for real human beings, I hope that we still appreciate part of real human or human personality, the human taste of like like reality. But in the future, with the help of AI, this may be aggregated. Like we can see, apart from those AI faces, we can see AI bodies with with real persons, like real faces. So it makes more personal touch and how the real person with real voice sound. So I think it has to be a merge of the two. Otherwise, we have no value of it.
Oh no, I'm here because this is the last conference I'll be at where I'm physically necessary. You won't need to invite me. You just need to scan me and just like have AI control me. No, I'm just kidding. I think AI forces us to be excellent. Because anything that is predictable within a formula and is known taste-wise can be replicated by AI immediately. What takes us months, years to create, if it's based on something that we already know, that's already been done, it'll take AI seconds to generate. If you say, hey, Write me a script about dinosaurs in the modern world. That's Jurassic Park, right? They can generate that. But if you come up with a truly original idea, nobody's done it, and you force yourself to be excellent, that's when your real value comes out. Obviously, AI is generative now. It's open. And so maybe one day it can be truly creative. I don't know. You know, our previous professor, Schoenberg, he talked about that. But I think other than forcing us to be excellent, I think it also brings into kind of our minds the question of the infrastructure. Who is using virtual idols? If it is a corporate trying to get rid of artists, the idols will be limited to the creativity, social responsibility, and world vision of the business that is employing that AI. So that AI idol will no longer be an artist. They will just be a pretty face or something that has been calculated to be consumable to push a message. It will lose, ultimately, the true allure and personal connection of a real artist. But if an AI idol is actually an avatar, it is controlled by a creator, that's different. Then it is driven by these kinds of emotions, hopefully compassion, hopefully maybe even some a larger, more original vision of the world.
Do you have anything to add, Bowie? And also, Bowie, this is a question for you. What do you think of AI in terms of the ecosystem of casting, production, and distribution? Do you have a view on that?
I think for movies productions or a lot of the finances, they the movie industry, I'm sure Jonathan knows, they used to finance from different parties, and it's usually not clear how their finances work and how it will end up and like used. Yes, so this will be more transparent as your wallet becomes more transparent as well, like what Randi said. And I think for casting as well, since you can access to or your audience right away, so there will be less limitation towards what language to use for the production or what what cast you use for those movies, because they always have their audience. Like in Hollywood, Asians used to be kind of, they have less like high rank, so we can only access to certain kind of characters or certain kind of roles. But in the future, I suspect that for all productions, they will be accessing worldwide audience. So no matter what kind of production, if it has its cultural significance or it has its own storyboard, then it can access its own audience very fast and very directly.
I think that's a very good point. Thank you, Bowie. I think the final question, Jonathan, that I want to ask you, what do you think is the potential challenges or ethical consideration when it comes to adopting AI in the entertainment or the music industry?
I actually wanted to build on and piggyback off of what Bowie was saying. I think we are in an interesting era in the worldwide entertainment industry where we have a Silicon Valley big data approach to entertainment now. You know, when I do spend time in Hollywood, what I do realize is actually one of the big reasons there's a strike right now in the US, be for the writers or for the actors, is a kind of lack of transparency, right, of the data. But anyway, and we're not talking about the transparency, we're really talking about what makes good art. Bowie was saying big data can help us find preferences. But at the same time, these preferences will only perpetuate themselves, right? So for example, like let's say there's a kid, right? You're born and I don't think any kid is born loving to eat broccoli, right? But broccoli will help your body, helps your brain. A kid will probably respond best to like Skittles, M&Ms, French fries, things that will probably kill him, right? What you end up doing is if you collect data that only tells them what they want without actually going into the research and development of what is good for them or what they need, what we end up is we will end up killing our audience ultimately by just feeding them the same thing over and over again. So this is a conundrum. We might be able to find great data from, let's say, Korea, right? Netflix started playing a lot of Korean dramas. They found really good user data from Korea. But what ends up happening is it'll just perpetuate itself. What if there's an awesome thing that's happening in Vietnam? It doesn't have the same data because Korea is already a juggernaut. But then what if something is just as good comes from Thailand or Vietnam? How do you even get on that radar? I think that's where real creators come back into the foray, is we have to be brave enough to sometimes act with or against the data, because we're also computing. We're looking ahead of the data. Obviously, there are trends, but sometimes there are anomalies. Who would have thought that Avatar would have been created before Avatar was created? Before that, they would have been thinking, hey, make 10 more Indiana Joneses. Make 5 more Star Treks. What Avatar? What are you even talking about? Every miracle that becomes a cultural phenomenon is something that is an outlier, in my opinion. Everything that relies solely on data becomes a perpetuation of something that's happened before. So AI will help us get closer to these more accurate readings, but we have a responsibility to take it that next step. And hopefully AI and HI, human intelligence, we can work well together and just make something truly amazing.
Very good point.
Well, thank you so much for your wonderful perspective. And once again, thank you, Bowie. Thank you, Jonathan, my good friends, for being here today. It's a great pleasure speaking to both of you.
Thank you so much. A big round of applause to our panelists and our moderator. Would our panelists and moderator please remain on stage for a photo? And may I invite Joseph, Bowie, and Jonathan to stand up for a photo? Shall we stand a little bit closer together? And let's smile at the camera in the front. And another one. Thank you so much for your great sharing. And would our speakers please continue to remain on stage? Now, I would like to invite all of you to witness a collaboration of 3 parties: JC Happiness Charity Foundation, the International Association of Mental Health Hong Kong, and Cyberport. And would our guests please be seated? The 3 parties have an intention to establish a joint accelerator aiming at empowering the development of the digital entertainment and tech companies of the Cyberport community. And the key components of the joint accelerator include international capital, commercialization, sales and marketing, joint projects, research and development, joint promotional events, social impact, and social good. The collaboration will combine each party's networks to support tech for good through engaging celebrities from entertainment industry. More importantly, the initiative shall raise the awareness of mental health and wellness for social impact. And moving on, may I invite 2 more guests to come on stage for the announcement. May I invite Engineer Eric Chan, the Chief Public Mission Officer of Cyberport. Round of applause, please. Dr. Christy Rowe, co-founder and director of JC Happiness Charity Foundation. And to commemorate this very special moment, I would like to invite our on-stage guests to take some photos together. Shall we look towards the center for a photo? Ready, 3, 2, 1, and cheese. And a few more photos. And also, let's look towards our videographer on your right-hand side. Shall we wave towards our videographer? Oh, let's give a thumbs up. Fantastic. Thank you. A big round of applause to our guests on stage. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and please be seated.